The fact that they waited this long is confusing to me. Was it just because they wanted Nina Shirakawa? Is it because they had no idea what they wanted to do for her? Is it because they really have no plans for Mariah May as champion anyway, and it's all just about the TBS title and Mercedes Moné? I don't feel good about it, though. I think that at the very best, what we can hope for here is that Mariah turns on Mina, and that's it. I don't think that anything special is happening whatsoever. What about you guys?
Well, what's the reason why they waited this long? Well, it's because Tony Storm's coming back on the show, almost certainly. I'd say that's probably the thing that I put more money on than most things on this show is that, Tony Storm's coming back and she's going to reignite the feud with Mariah May here. And that's the reason why they've held on so long, is because essentially ever since Mariah May has won the title, it's been a giant stall until they can do this, and they can have Tony Storm come back and interrupt the champagne celebration, and then Mina's caught in between the two people that she's closest to in AEW, and that's going to be kind of the extra layer on top of the the rematch championship feud, which will probably result in a match taking place at World's End, where it'll be like, I could imagine a scenario where it's some sort of thing which I wouldn't quite enjoy, but I can understand them doing it, where it's like Mina is a special guest referee, or a, hopefully not like the Shark thing, but that's always a possibility you can go down. But yeah, I think that's pretty much why they've delayed so long, because Mariah's just been having not really feuds, but just one-off matches with people, one-off title defenses. The only real feud she's really had has been with I guess with Willow leading up to Wrestle Dream, but that was like that was like a huge feud, and then the series that she's had with Anna Jay. But now the Tony Storm thing will be like the big thing they're waiting for.
Yeah, I don't know if I love that, because it kind of feels like we've been in a holding pattern, and I haven't liked much of the Mariah championship run. I was enjoying Mariah in the ring, but there has to be more, and I just feel like this has been a prolonged angle for months, and I'm ready to see something else revolve around this title, personally.
Yeah, it's not a super fun, big fun run for Mariah May in terms of, I think she's just felt, as you're right, the holding pattern has been in place. It just feels like she's just been waiting around, just trying to fill the gap of what champion should be, and that means that her reign has come off quite lackluster and uninspiring. And that's like on the creative as much as it is on her. I think it's a mix of things where it's like creative haven't given her interesting enough things to do in the meantime, where they wait for Tony Storm to come back, and she hasn't been particularly inspiring in the opportunities that she has been given.
So I think, and this is, you can feel free to disagree with me, I think this is because creative feels like they struck gold with the original angle where she turned on Tony, and believe it or not, as scary as it is to think about, that was like 6 months ago already. And I just, it scares me how long and drawn out certain things are, and how much they cling to, like, well, yeah, wasn't that one thing cool? And it was, but I would have loved to have seen, more stars like Anna Jay get built. Like, she had a great no DQ match. One thing about the women in AEW, they can have great no DQ matches. That could have been at the pay-per-view, that could have been a cool moment for the women at the pay-per-view, and it was on TV, and I know sometimes it has to be that way, but this feels lackluster for, major pay-per-view segment.
This does feel like something to me that should be more on Dynamite, and I know I keep kind of echoing that a lot when it comes to, like, I don't like these kind of promo segments on pay-per-views, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but if it's all just Mariah May cuts a promo about how she's so happy to have been champion for now, how long has she been champion? Like 2 months?
Since like late August, so closing
almost 3 months
now. Yeah.
So it'll just be like, hey, I'm so glad that I won that championship months ago, and then if it's just Tony Storm goes rematch, I'll be like, all right, fuck this. But then again,
the alternative is she turns on Mina, or Mina turns on her.
Yeah, I'd rather the segment just not be on the show and it ends earlier. I don't think that I'm going to end up liking almost any bit of video here. But I still think I might like it better than the one match that's confirmed for the 0 hour right now. QT Marshall, the guy that left and came back. Somehow he's back in the mix here to wrestle, but who's he wrestling? Big Boom AJ with Big Justice. Now, this is incredibly just, I would be embarrassed to show somebody something like this in a lot of ways. I think that these two quote-unquote celebrities are a textbook example of things that I don't understand as far as pop culture celebrity type stuff. I don't think that they're funny at all. I don't find them interesting, quirky, cute, any of that kind of like positive stuff. And I don't want to see them on my pay-per-view. Certainly don't want to be paying for it, so it's good that it's a 0 hour for that. WWE does this kind of stuff too, and I usually don't like it all that much when they do it. They go like that. Oh, by the way, that Tyson and Jake Paul fight, lame as all hell. Completely didn't even try to avoid showing off that it was scripted. And I'm only hoping that Lance Archer comes out and just destroys everybody in this. It's like 3 seconds long. But I'm assuming Big Boom AJ something or other beats QT Marshall and they just laugh about it. And I'm supposed to laugh about it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly fond of any kind, too much celebrity involvement. Sometimes the celebrity surprise you. I mean, still reports going around that this was only supposed to be like, this was Full Gear, like this was like the second match for Full Gear pretty much, and then from that point on, it's just been taking place online or through like Big Boom AJ's like Twitter, TikTok following and other social media followings. But apparently they've been getting over so well with their audience that they decided to get them a segment on Dynamite this week. So we'll see how they deliver on that front. But you're going to get out of this. It's just going to be QT Marshall is like a solid hand. It's like the veteran guy. They'll just bump around for this guy and will taunt the crowd, like do the typical heel shtick. And then they'll make the comeback and get the victory. Thanks to probably some sort of funny interference from Big Justice. And obviously he's funny in the loosest definition of the word. But yeah, I'm not going to be too fond of this. But they do have a following. It is just happening on the 0 hours. It's not really good. And there's been, outside the one segment on Dynamite, there's not been any kind of like major build or time wasted or devoted to it beyond just will be amounts to probably like 10 minutes on TV. So it's like, it's not good. I don't like it, but it's I can understand the rationale behind it because of just what they're following is. Even though I wouldn't follow them and don't get their content or don't enjoy their content from the little bits I've seen, clearly lots of people do. So if you're trying to appeal to them, you're trying to get those guys to watch and then potentially watch the rest of the show and enjoy the rest of it and like build new fans at the back of it, then that's what you got to do.
Well, I was going to do a whole we're Costco guys bit, but I don't feel like it now. Look, he's actually a wrestler. Like, that's how he fucking got this spot, because he was actually one of the veterans that helped QT when he was coming up in the industry. And look, us aside, this works for people. I have seen a lot of people question why they haven't tried to maximize the popularity to do more things on television with this guy. I don't care. I don't care in the slightest bit about this. I don't care in the slightest bit about the Costco guy's content. I think this thing should have been rushed out in Chicago. I know why it's not. I understand that it's because this is more of a home base for them. But I think they would have had a better reception if it was rushed out in Chicago. And quite frankly, I would rather be in the bathroom dropping a big boom. That's what I think about this match.
Why did they do the boom thing?
Wait, what did you say? Why did they do the boom thing?
Is that like are they making like shit jokes or because like
No, I
I was gonna say I want to give you credit for shitting on a thing like that. I'm assuming that's the case. But if they are doing it just to be like, hey, poop, then I'd be like, all right, well, now I like it even less.
I'm making a shit reference.
Yeah.
They are like,
Our shit.
the guy at Costco, do you want this double chocolate chunk cookie? What do you give it? Do you give it a boom or a doom? I give it a big boo. It's fucking it's nauseating brain rot. This guy clearly wants to be famous. Of course he does. He's a fucking independent wrestler at some point in the 2000s. So of course he wanted to be famous.
And he somehow gets famous by doing that.
Yeah, and he gets famous by doing this because look, he clearly thinks this shit through. He clearly spends a lot of time doing this. I just hope that the kids are actually enjoying it, and he's not like one of those family YouTubers that's kind of like forcing them to. You know what I mean?
Probably.
For the most part, it seems like everybody's having a good time. So kudos to them. I just don't give a shit. Sorry.
Even more frustrating being like, these guys are on like a national thing doing this, like going, boom, is that good enough? Meanwhile, I spent, how long did we spend? 40-something minutes trying to figure out a way to get the audio to sound better on this, just for it to not do that. And it's like, okay. Let me put my shaking hand down right now. Good thing this isn't a webcam. Let's switch over to a four-way for the tag team titles. We got Private Party, relatively new champions, defending against the Outrunners, Trent Magnum and Turbo Floyd, and Kings of the Black Throne, and the Acclaimed. I have one simple thought process when it comes to this. If you take the titles off of Private Party already, that proves that they shouldn't have won it to begin with.
I think they are taking the titles off Private Party. What about you, Cal?
Not a chance in hell.
If they're taking them off them?
Absolutely, they're not taking it off. You see the three teams they're fighting, right?
Yeah.
You see the three things. Like one of them, the Outrunners, are there because they've gone over in a quick bit of time, but they're just a comedy tag team for the most part. They need to be more established. I think that their long term, in terms of the thing that might get them over as a more credible tag team, would be a feud with a heel FTR, which coincidentally, if you would ask me, is the team I think will eventually be Private Party for the tag team titles. The Acclaimed are splitting up because one of them is going to. I think they're teasing Mascat's going to join the Hurt Syndicate. I think Anthony Bones is going to join the Hurt Syndicate.
We can only hope and pray to God.
Yeah, and then Mascot will have a quick feud with Anthony Bones and then be released at some point, probably in the next year. So.
Fingers crossed.
But the only thing that could win is the Kings of the Black Throne. I don't think they've been set up particularly for this. I know they beat FTR, but I think that's just further on the story. FTR probably lost their way a little bit before they end up turning heel and going after everybody. Especially because one of the segments of Isaiah Cassidy and Mark during their big title celebration on Collision following them winning titles was to get in the face of FTR. So I think that's the long term thing. I don't think they did that by accident. And also I just think that you built up Private Party to beat the Young Bucks, who had quite a long reign with the championships. They had the two attempts at it. You built up a whole segment of, if we don't win the titles in our last 10, we have to split up the team. You're not going to have them losing some random four-way in their first title defense. They don't operate like that.
For the most part, I think you're right. I just think that if they do
come wrong,
if they do lose the belts, it's because Julia Hart comes back and helps Kings of the Black Throne.
I still think she's going to feud with Tony Hayter.
That's
I'm assuming she is going to be back relatively soon, but I don't think she's going to come back here to help them with the tag titles. I think she's going to be like completely unrelated to the tag situation. But again, I don't know, maybe I missed something. There's a very good chance that I could have missed something on that.
I don't see any possibility of Private Party losing this match. I think I'd give I'd say like 95% chance Private Party win and I'd give 5% split out between the other three teams. That's how confident I'd be in Private Party returning. And I think they can probably win the Acclaim to do it. So
I would say, in my mind, I'm 80% Private Party, 15% Kings of the Black Throne, and then the other two teams just aren't going to win. They can have that other 5% amongst themselves. Like you said, it would be stupid to take the belts off of them, but I just see Julia Hart coming in as part of something that they might want to do, and maybe that motivates Malachi Black to do more. I don't know.
So I think there are two other matches that I would put as easier to predict than that one, but I do lean towards Private Party being one of the more obvious picks. One of the ones that I feel like is a certainty is MJF is beating Roderick Strong. Whether that's a matter of MJF just beats him, or if Adam Cole gets involved and inadvertently costs Roderick Strong some kind of issue where it becomes like that they can start feuding and they kind of expand out of that. It's like Strong against Cole, and that's how they move away from the MJF thing. And that's kind of in there a little bit, but I think there's no chance that Strong beats MJF.
No, I think that's fairly cut and dry. MJF refused all the matches in Adam Cole and they decided to stall on that, give him the likelihood of a decent victory and a good match over Roderick Strong to help build him up for that match with Adam Cole, to help further along the whole Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly reunion, as whatever group they want to name themselves. But I think the more interesting thing is if someone helps MJF beat Roderick Strong, whether that's potentially the Kingdom. I don't think I have a huge belief that they'll turn and help out MJF, and then you've got the 3-on-3. But I think there has to be some people joining into on MJF's side if you are going to get any trios matches out of this. So that's the one thing to be looking out for. I think, looks like MJF's going to win, but who helps him win, or does anyone else get involved that helps out? That's those trios matches in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have said it perfectly. Roddy's not winning. I think Roddy will give him a good match. And this is to build MJF Cole at the 1-year anniversary of the World's End split. And then hopefully we move on to whatever Kyle and Adam and Roddy want to do. And they can have a fun run as a trios because it will kind of put some life into Adam Cole, put some established stars in the trios division. Whether or not I see the trio working with MJF, I wouldn't know who besides either a heel like been a Matt Taven or FDR would even team with X. So I'm just looking forward to whenever this ends so we can get to like the Kyle, Cole, Ronnie stuff.
We do have a couple other regular singles matches on the card. One that's way harder for me to predict is Hangman Adam Page against Switchblade Jay White. Because we're in another situation, we talked about this before. I kind of feel like both guys should win, and I don't know if either of them can really take a loss without it seeming like that's a disappointment.
I think we need to get into the mindset now, having like big guys start against each other in terms of like top stars, and not be so concerned if they lose, then it's over for them. Because then there's just that immediate hesitation of people say, oh, we can't book these matches, even though they're all the best guys and they'll be the best matches because what one guy loses. I think the advantage of the proximity right now is that the Continental Classic is coming up. So regardless of which person loses this match, then you have the Continental Classic to probably put that person in and help rehab them a little bit with a couple of wins in that tournament instead. So I don't think it's going to really hurt either guy to take a loss. But I feel like Adam Page probably should win out of them. I think that Jay White is, even though I think that Adam Page has got obviously more legitimacy behind him and he's got a longer tenure in AEW, and so he could be more easily rehabbed. I think that he is in a position to make the leap up. I think that we are, at least in my headcanon, getting into the process of he'll eventually be the guy that ends the Death Riders like reign of terror over AEW once and for all. I still think that is where my mind is going. So I think you still need to keep giving him big wins in the long run. Where Jay White, he's still obviously a big deal and he should be presented as such. But I feel like he, at this very time, you're looking more at the Continental Championship, International Championship level with him, and he's still got like the tag team in the group. So I think that there's less of an impact. And the whole story they've been telling is that Jay White's got Adam Page's number. He's going to target the leg. He's already beaten him in the last pay-per-view. So having Adam Page get the victory, take another big scalp and move himself slightly further forward, while Jay White needs just a bit of time to recoup and just move himself back up in a different direction. I think that's probably the way they'll go. So yeah, I think Adam Page should win. I think we'll win.
Yeah, I think this largely boils down to Switchblade just won against Adam, and they made sure not to make this a gimmick match. So I think Hanger has to get his win back here. And while I would normally say, Tony's right, you got to be careful, it's a lose-lose, I think Callum has a point in that everything is evolving and changing, and you can't just constantly say, let's never put these two guys together, because if one loses, they're fucked. And if I want other people to stop thinking that way, I have to stop thinking that way. So I think they've set up a Hangman Page win pretty convincingly here, and I think he's going to win. Maybe they have a rubber match before the Continental Classic. Maybe neither one of them gets the Continental Classic, and they just have a, Texas Death, a World's End or something. But I think Hangman has to win here.
Have either of them been confirmed for the Continental Classic?
The only person confirmed for the Continental Classic, I believe, is Okada.
It's still just Okada?
They're going to reveal either at the pay-per-view or immediately after who will be in the tournament.
I could see this being maybe, I don't think that this would end up being the finals by any means, because I think that's Okada beating whoever he's up against, but I could see them maybe having another match in, the semifinals or something to continue Page and White, and, it doesn't feel like to me that whoever wins here, that it should just be the end of this. It feels like there should at least be some kind of blow-off match on Dynamite or Collision or whatever. If White won the last one, Page wins this one. If they want to go with Page can't get the job done, they can still do that. Ultimately, if it doesn't really have any stakes, kind of doesn't matter.
I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. It definitely matters, because these two guys are going to be major players as long as they can remain healthy for your 2025. But I think Hanger is being built to win.
Different playing fields. Like Hangman is the main character of AEW, and so he does have a slightly higher level than everyone else. But if you have this match go well and it turns into something good, then Jay White could be somebody who Hangman goes up against in future again, like late down the road, maybe a year or 2 years time when Hangman's in a different place and he's in a different place.
Push comes to shove, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go Page wins.
Yeah, absolutely, Page wins.
I was going to say White, so that way he could be another person to challenge Moxley, but I don't think so. Not right now. I would lean a little bit more towards knowing the result of at least Bobby Lashley versus Swerve Strickland, though, because to me, Bobby Lashley losing that first match would not be the best thing for the Hurt Syndicate, and Swerve can easily lose that against Lashley, and it's not going to make him look bad. So, whether that is from somebody like Shelton Benjamin getting involved, somebody else changing up their allegiance, and like Leo Rush joining them and getting involved or something, or it could just be Lashley just wins. I think that's a very straight up normal option where he can just beat Swerve. I do think that Lashley needs to beat Swerve Strickland.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think that he's a new guy coming in, he's well established elsewhere in his wrestling career. I think that you want to have Bobby Lashley get a big win over a big guy straight away and being Swerve for world champion and establishing himself there. I think that you could obviously run the interference by Shelton Benjamin or MVP or introduce a new member of the Hurt Syndicate as part of this in order to try and save face with Swerve a little bit. I feel like he's been screwed over, but I don't think there's really any harm in having Lashley twinkling, just beating Swerve, and Swerve has to build himself back up to eventually beat Lashley, because you can continue to tell the narrative that has kind of been told, which is ever since losing the world title to Bryan Danielson all in, Swerve's been on a bit of a downward spiral, like losing to Page and all the rigmarole that came associated with that, and then being targeted by the Hurt Syndicate, and then losing to Lashley can be a case of, okay, I'm now near my lowest point, I need to build myself back up again and eventually take Lashley down in the future. Because as I say, Lashley is a big player for now, and the Hurt Syndicate has worked really well. I think the act's come really well on TV so far, but he is like 48 years old. There's only he's still in incredible shape, but you don't really want him to be on top or at the top of the card for too long. Probably he's probably got a maximum of 2 to 3 years at this kind of level before people need to start tapering off. So Swerve to eventually beat Lashley, because Swerve is your long-term prospect, like one of your top players for the long term. But him being involved in this sets Lashley off in good film in front of the AEW fans. Him getting victory here, I would prefer it to be mostly clean. I don't think that you need to have any shenanigans involved. I think Swerve needs to be protected like that. But yeah, I think you could set up a rematch either at World's End or maybe pushing into like Revolution, some area like that. So, but yeah, I think that Lashley should get the victory here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he's losing. This is his first match with the company, and while, yeah, you do want to put over young talent primarily, he is Lashley, he did just come in, he's not losing. There's also the whole X-ray that's showed on social media where it looks like they're trying to say that getting beat up by the Hurt Syndicate has actually hurt him. So we'll see if that's legit or if it's just to build to the story and give him an out for losing, but he's definitely losing.
Like, there's a possibility he's, like, injured, for real?
Well, he put the X-ray out. I haven't heard anything about it being legitimate, but, I'm just saying that's an out for his boss.
Yeah, they are telling the story that he's like suffering a bit off the back of, or at least he's telling it through social media that he's suffering off the back of some attacks by the Hurt Business. So maybe his body is pretty banged up. Like, he has been working pretty hard this year, so it wouldn't be surprising if he's something a bit of wear and tear, and this is a big opportunity to write him off for a little while. If that was the case, then he can come back to like dismantle the Hurt Syndicate piece by piece in the future. But that's also other things out there about people speculating about it, and some people are sharing photos of like, but this is what a broken collarbone looks like. So his doesn't look anything like that. So maybe it's just a case of like, putting an X-ray out there, and maybe it does look pretty bad. But it's like just
relatively normal.
Yeah, because people don't know what a broken collarbone looks like. So
right.
But yeah, maybe it's still like still. Maybe if you had a bit more medical training, you can look into that. Like, there is like a few little issues there, but nothing that'll be, won't keep him out for 6 months to a year or whatever, stuff like that. Maybe he could be, something that'll keep him out for a month or two, which is fine. Like, it helps build up more anticipation when he comes back, and also allows the Syndicate to build up their own momentum without needing to constantly be attached to her throughout it. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that the most important thing is that Lashley gets the first win here.
Now, one other match that is just a singles match, no title on the line or anything, is Kyle Fletcher against Will Ospreay. And this is a tough one for me because I can see the argument for both. I can see Fletcher should beat Ospreay to prove that he is working towards that next level, and he's got the option of like cheating the win, and he's got Don Callis and other people that can do interference and this and that. And I can see the argument that Will Ospreay should win and prove to Kyle Fletcher that he still has more to learn. I don't know which way I'd rather go, but at least before this tomorrow night's episode of Dynamite, I'm leaning right now towards the idea of I think that Ospreay is going to win, and that Fletcher and them are going to continue to feud with him afterward. But it's going to be one of those like you won but then got your ass kicked afterward scenarios.
Yeah, I think Fletcher should win. That's just me. I think it does. It's not going to do Ospreay any harm to lose, and he can always slip out a banana peel. Fletcher could use a screwdriver. There's so many things, but I think when the whole build has been like you've done nothing, you are nothing essentially. I think he needs to beat him, even if it's through the cheekiest of ways, to make sure. Hey, I beat Ospreay. I always have a win over you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this one is difficult to predict. It could go either way because Ospreay is a more established name, and he can beat Kyle Fletcher without it like hurting him too much because you can have Fletcher just get more and more angry, intense, and more like aggressive towards Ospreay, leading to a more violent rematch at World's End or further down the line. So I don't think it's out of the question for Ospreay to win. There's also the fact of most of the people that we've highlighted so far to winning, or at least from my perspective, are on the heel side. So it'll balance that out a little bit because there's other matches and there's other heels that might win that we haven't discussed yet. So to help balance that out and give them, okay, Ospreay gets the victory over Fletcher. He's just still that step above Fletcher. But there's also other facts to consider. Obviously, the Don Callis family and the people that are aligned with Ospreay against him. There's Mark Davis and where his allegiances lie, and whether he'll like turn on Ospreay and side back with Fletcher as well, or whether he'll stick with Ospreay and help him out, or at least try and get involved for his benefits, or just stay out of the picture entirely because he can't pick a side because that's a side, part of the angle they've been leaning into as well. So I think it'll be good, very good for Fletcher to get the win, just because you beat Will Ospreay, you help establish yourself. This one I definitely think you can do it through heelish things, whether it's like putting the tights or using a screwdriver or anything along those lines to get the victory. That one I think will be totally fine because it just fits into Fletcher's character and what he's trying to prove. But yeah, this one is one of the trickiest ones to predict. But I'd probably go with I think they'll have Ospreay win this one.
I didn't think about the heel babyface dynamic of it all. You could be onto something there, but I'm gonna confidently say Fletcher for now.
There's nothing wrong with like one show a year which is very like heel heavy in terms of victories. I kind of feel like they'll kind of push their luck, but like with the ending of Wrestle Dream and how like not so much how flat that ended, but like how like that was very much like an Empire Strikes Back type of pay-per-view where it's like, oh, the heels run away and they basically don't really know what to do and they're in a bit of disarray at this point. So I don't know whether they want to go, okay, this one again we're going to have like 75% of the matches won by heels again. Like if your only real babyface representation in terms of victories are Private Party and Big Boom AJ up to this point, then I think that you might have a bit of a problem. So you might want to have Ospreay just get the victory on this one and do a rematch down the road. But as I agree with you that it would be good for Fletcher to get the victory. I just don't think they're going to do it here.
All right, so we have 3 more title matches to talk about. Mercedes Moné with Camille going up against Chris Statlander defending the TBS Championship. I could see an argument for the belt changing hands here because it is Chris Statlander and she is one of the absolute top women that they have. But I just cannot go in that direction as far as a prediction because it's Mercedes Moné. She's being treated as the biggest star in the entire company for the most part. She's been this golden child since before she even arrived. I don't see enough momentum on Statlander to really make it seem like that's now the time to switch her over and just bump her up to like the women's world championship level or something. Seems like they're fine with just having the TBS title take priority. So I don't know who beats Mercedes eventually, but I think Statlander is here to give her a credible person to beat. And if it's Camille helping out or if it's just Mercedes getting the win on her own, maybe looking at Statlander coming up short.
I have to agree, and I think you're right. At some point, she does have to lose. It's just not yet. And I think Statlander could beat her. She's a former TBS champion. She beat Jade, but no one else did. So it's possible if she does get the win here, you establish that as, you think you're untouchable until you get in the ring with me. But for now, I just don't see it happening. I don't know who could be her. I'd like to see her move up to the world title just because, as I say every time we talk about her, it's silly that the world championship isn't presented as the top tier belt on the show most times. But for now, I got to say, like Tony said, it's Mercedes, and she's presented as the golden child. I think she's winning here.
I think that there's a good possibility that Statlander wins the title because I think it just adds more intrigue into the story of Mercedes or the development of Mercedes' character. She was stuff that lost to Statlander and then has to go back on the chase and win the title back. It helps get that kind of like the monkey off the back in terms of an unbeaten streak. And I don't think that like Statlander is one of the most credible women on the entire roster, so it wouldn't hurt Mercedes at all to take the loss here. I think that the likelihood is that Monet does retain, but does it through heelish means or through Camille's interference or something in order to get the victory, and so you can at least put in wiggle room for a rematch at World's End or lay down the line, but you decide to make mistakes on someone else. I mean, there's also the aspect of it where they are telling, similar to the MJF Wardlow stuff, of the Mercedes and Camille tension between those two, where Mercedes is just bullying and pushing Camille around to do her bidding, and it doesn't seem like Camille is too fond about that side of things, so they're complaining to as well, where like she asks Camille for help and Camille inadvertently does something which hurts Mercedes, and so that could open up the door for Christian to get a victory, and then you just continue to build up more tension between Camille and Mercedes. But I think the likelihood is that will happen, and that will again cause a bit of friction between them, but Mercedes will still come out on top some way. I think like it would potentially beat Mercedes down the line. Mine probably just goes to Nightingale winning it back, maybe even like at the kind of near close to the year mark, or at the Battle Show in Texas could be a good opportunity to do that, like another big event, and do like Willow versus Mercedes. I mean, I guess they call it Willow Mercedes 3 because it's been the second time they've done it in AEW, but they'll hark back to the match they had at Indie Japan as well. So I think that's where my mind kind of goes to at the moment. That'll be the person that wins it back. But
I agree.
I mean, she's one of the major options for sure.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's out of the question for Chris Stanton to win, even just to, if you were just to win and then to drop it back to Mercedes like in a couple of weeks or like a month afterwards. But yeah, I think the likelihood is Mercedes retains here.
I'm on the fence when it comes to Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia. That's for the AEW TNT Championship. Perry is in a good enough spot that if they want to keep it on him, then I see no reason why to necessarily take the title away from him. But I'm also like, all right, well, the elite angle hasn't really been as much of a thing, and doing his own thing, and he's got the Continental Classic coming up and all. So I could very well see Daniel Garcia winning this championship and Perry moving on, whether he joins the Death Riders or he does something else in the means. But I think that getting the TNT title off of him might actually be beneficial. Otherwise, I don't know what Perry really does. And Garcia, I don't know if he's in a spot that he'll end up being the next person to challenge. I'm spoiling this. The AEW World Championship, John Moxley's retaining over Orange Cassidy. I'll just say that right now. I don't know if Garcia is going to lose a TNT title match and then be set up to fight Moxley. I think more than likely Garcia wins the TNT title here. Perry goes and does something else. Either joins Death Riders or not. And we get people like Claudio, Pac, Wheeler, or maybe even Perry feuding with Daniel Garcia, and Garcia's in that like upper mid-card range to feud with the Death Riders rather than fighting Moxley. And yeah, just factoring that in, Orange Cassidy and John Moxley's going to be a really good match. But there's absolutely no way whatsoever that John Moxley loses this title right now. Not a chance. As much as I would love Orange Cassidy to win that belt, it is definitively not happening.
But since you lumped them in, I guess I will as well. I would say, first of all, when it comes to Perry and Garcia, much like Private Party, now is just the time to pull the trigger on Garcia. People are ready. People feel like he's been on this journey forever, and I think that it's just time. If you don't pull the trigger now, yeah, you could, say, hey, Perry was right, he's not ready, and then get him to a level where he could be. But I think you run the risk of making some people, not everybody, but some, feel the way that some longtime WWE fans feel about a guy like Chad Gable, where it's just like, all right, I'm giving up hope on you. It's just not going to be you. I think you have him win here. Perry either goes away like the Young Bucks did, or says, fuck it, I'm joining the Death Riders, because he's done a lot of things that are kind of in the same vein of what Moxley's been like in these past few months. I can see that being a thing. And as far as, like you said, the World Championship, look, I think it'll be a fun match. I think it's been a fun story. The only problem I have with the story is nobody on Earth believes Cassidy is winning, and I think Mox is just going to beat him, and then Darby might beat Mox in December. Maybe.
Yeah, so the TNT title, I think that if it's much more likely that Garcia wins the title, I think that he's signed a new contract, he's fully established his place in AEW long term, so him getting this title is a symbol of that upward trajectory for him. Jack Perry, I think it's that they had that segment of Moxley first coming back and saying that you're a sweet kid. I think that's always been the catalyst too, especially how we've seen the pivot in the Elite storyline with the Young Bucks no longer there and they'll be back for a while. So like, I think it's the path is now clear for Perry to just cast that aside and join Death Riders eventually. He doesn't need to have the title for that. Maybe it's just a case that Daniel holds his title for a short period of time, and then in that interim Perry does join the Death Riders and then uses that support to help win back the title down the line, or you can maybe just do like a bit more of a back and forth series between those two over the title. I don't really mind like it being hot potato between the two of them as long as there's an overarching story that eventually one of them will go out on top and have a decent reign for the title. But Perry's held the title for quite a while now, so it wouldn't alter things too much to have like a bit of swapping the title like a couple of times between them before Garcia defensively beats him and goes on his own reign for the championship. So that's where I kind of see that going. And then yes, Moxley's definitely going to beat Orange Cassidy. I think he's been okay. I think that Orange's limitations on the microphone have kind of not been ideal for this feud in terms of adding more like emotion or interest into it. I think it's one of those things where it's difficult for Orange Cassidy that he always has to toe the line between having this kind of like this emotional storyline where he's going to be like the forebearer of AEW is going to cut off like this invading force that's coming in and try to take over the company or try to impose their own values on the company, and he tries to stand up for what AEW actually stands for. And that has a lot of like emotional depth and presence to it, but also being a character that isn't supposed to care about anything. So like trying to balance those two things out, I think he ends up leaning a bit too much into making too many light-hearted references, or just acting like he doesn't care when he should, and acting like he cares when he shouldn't. So it's kind of like he isn't really hitting the mark for me, I think, too much. And so I thought he was a good choice, probably the right choice to be the first defense, because realistically, anyone who's going to come into this first match is going to struggle with Darby Allin, because you just can't say that. Anyone looking at it can tell that this is a long-term storyline, and it's going to be kind of like the big North Star for AEW for at least next year, probably, and probably even beyond that, potentially. So you're not going to have Moxley drop the title in his first title defense, so whoever's going to be in this situation in like a bit of a road to nothing. So even though you want to see this potentially be a good match, I would actually prefer it to be a squash, really. I think it's more compelling, and it's more enforces the story of like treating John Moxley as the true like big bad that someone has to eventually take down, whether that's Darby Allin, whether that's Hangman Page in the future, whether that's Bryan Danielson coming back, whatever.
What about Wheeler?
Like if you or Wheeler even, yeah. But that's the story that you have to establish him as like he's on a different level now, and he's more focused and more intense and more violent than ever before. And having him beat Orange Cassidy in the span of like 5 minutes would help do that. And it could be good for Orange as well, because it would refocus Orange a little bit more about, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for this, and maybe Orange could take a bit of a break, or like look at other avenues to explore, trying to find that second gear or that third gear, or however you want to describe it, to his character or his intensity in the ring. So obviously, you could put these two together, because we've seen it multiple times before, you could put these two together and have a great match. And, you know, I wouldn't be upset at all if that was the proof they did it. So it's like, okay, we're going to do like this 20-minute banger of a match, and Orange Cassidy's going to get a lot of hope spots. They're just going to make you just for one split second believe that you might win the title, and then obviously retains. Like I say, I absolutely have no problem with that. But I feel like it almost would leave more of a sizable impact for both characters moving forward if this was just a quick Orange tries to get a flurry together, but Moxley just overpowers him. He's just too cerebral right now and gets the victory pretty easily over him. So, yeah, Moxley's going to retain.
Alrighty, well, we will find out, of course, if anything changes about this card. As I said at the beginning of this, you know, everything is completely up in the air as far as so many different things. You have no idea how many things are constantly changing. I think just got a message in the last 45 seconds that just changed something. So, current plan, hopefully we will be able to address any changes to the card that happen tomorrow on the hot tags on Friday. I will hopefully have my normal setup back to normal and be back up in New York at that point. We will have the coverage of Full Gear on Saturday. Are they doing Collision ahead of time? Are they not doing Collision, or what's the setup for that?
Oh, I think it might be. Is it a no collision week?
I think it's no collision. Just because, because it's Saturday show, isn't it? So they wouldn't put this on. I've actually looked to see whether they would do it, but I presume they're not going to do it for this one.
I mean, they could change things on Dynamite. We could add more matches to the pre-show, the 0 hour. They could do stuff on Rampage. They could do some kind of Rampage and Collision both airing on Friday type deal. Whatever the stuff is, if they change things in some fashion, you'll see it on Smarkoutmoment.com or elsewhere. And we'll talk about whatever happens in whatever capacity we can. But at least for the predictions, those are our thoughts at this moment on Tuesday afternoon. And the regular spiel, you guys know. Make sure that you are showing your support. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done that. Ring the notification bell for those email alerts of when we do go live, or the post show if we are able to go live. And follow the link tree, all the different things.